You know those commercials you swear shaped your childhood personality? Well, I still have opinions about them, mostly about why they made me want an absurd dessert or a new Game Boy. This isn't a deep marketing lecture, it's just some commercials that have stuck in my head for weird personal reasons, and one concluding thought about why modern ads all look like color-themed Hunger Games sets. I promise some actual memories and a small amount of mild outrage. First, the Chef Boyardee following the girl home from the supermarket. I'm not gonna try to rehash YouTube dissertations. People have done their thesis videos on this one. But a quick note, when this one first aired, it was the kind of thing you talked about in the school hallway like it was a weather event. We all traded theories. I mean, that's just the mark of a commercial that landed. It became communal gossip, not background noise. I'll just put that one in the culturally unavoidable category and move on. Got Milk doing Mario 64. This one's been talked to death too, but it's impossible to skip if you're the kind of person who remembers a chord progression from a commercial more clearly than your email password. For a 7-year-old, it was a weird cross-pollination of grown-up health PSA and video game event. The image of someone pausing their life for a milk glass and a power-up felt oddly epic. It made milk feel like I was drinking a cheat code. Cheesiest nostalgia possible, and I'll defend it. Tropical Sprite Remix. This is the one that taught me 2 lessons. First, commercials can have vibes, and second, Pharrell existed before I knew Pharrell existed. I remember the colors, the cut, the odd remix energy. It felt like a secret club. I didn't know who the Neptunes were then, it just sounded like summer condensed into a 30-second advertisement. Also, rest in peace, Biz Markie. Artists like him give these spots personality. That Sprite ad was a palette you wanted to live inside for 30 seconds. Apple Jacks with the blue carrot announcement. This one reads like a kind of like a tiny religion for me. When they announced it, and marketing did that weird faux event thing, it felt like the biggest moment of my life. Blue carrot? That's not a cereal add-in. That's a friend group ritual. Something small becomes canonical when your entire class argues about it. Starry-Eyed Surprise Diet Coke from around 2005. This one's savory because it made being an adult look like a soundtrack and a dress code. I was 10 and pretty sure adulthood meant jazz and expensive soda. The ad sold a mood. This is what grown-ups do outside. And that's not dishonest, it's aspirational advertising. I bought the idea for at least 3 years and then wrote a check to nothing. Geico Caveman. Honestly, I only remember that commercial for one reason. The Royksopp song Remind Me. The caveman shtick was fine, but the track turned the background into the point. Sometimes a soundtrack makes an ad more valuable than its gag. The premise of the commercial, it's kinda mid, but the music is legendary. There's always something to remind me. The Betty Crocker Bacon Fill ad made me demand a Baked Alaska at age 10. My mom did not allow Baked Alaskas. A big tragedy, small childhood. But the advert worked exactly as it should have. It sold the dream of presenting something slightly ridiculous and dignified at family events. It lodged in my identity as dessert aspirant. Education connection with that cute waitress. This is a classic case where casting style made the whole thing for me. The ad felt like an indie short film. The waitress was earnest, the song was nice, and suddenly a remedial education ad felt like a human story. It's odd, a boring category gets a face and suddenly people remember it more for the performance than the product. Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. Those launch spots were pretty seismic for a 7-year-old with limited internet access. Back then you couldn't just scroll through spoilers, you lived for the brief TV moment that showed new Pokemon. The ad's job was to shock you with novelty, and it definitely did. Seeing the new designs with that really cheerful music definitely made a whole generation stand on tiptoe for the next Pokemon release. Okay, what ties these all together? A few things. Texture, audacity, and permission to be weird. These weren't just product pitches, they were like mini movies or mood pieces that gave you something to remember beyond the logo. They were allowed to be strange and the weirdness became the memory hook. They also shared a social function. We talked about them in school, we tried to sing the jingles, we made copies of them in our heads. The ad was a cultural signal, not just a commercial interruption. Which brings me to the ending that I promised, modern commercials. They mostly look like Kafkaesque Hunger Games sets where someone decided the entire living room must now be monochrome yellow with yellow chairs, yellow sofa, yellow dog, a yellow laptop. Imagine stepping into a world where every detail is purposefully color coordinated so the brand hashtag looks cohesive on a single Instagram grid. It's like someone translated a mood board into a totalitarian aesthetic. I think this is largely for two reasons. The first being social media optimization. If your ad is a single dominant color, the image reads fast as a thumbstop on a tiny screen. And the second is safety and branding. If everything is color blocked, everything matches the logo and no one has to think about texture or weirdness. The result is ads that are visually perfect and emotionally hollow. There's no room for a weird little jingle that loops in your head for years because nothing is allowed to be an outlier. So yeah, nostalgia is partly rose-colored. Commercials were manipulative then as they are now, but they also felt human at times. Now the calculus often favors algorithmic cleanliness over accidental humanity. The blue carrot probably won't exist anymore because it would just ruin the palate. If you miss these ads, the ones that made you ask for a baked Alaska and argue with your friends about blue carrots in your cereal, maybe that's a good thing. Make a playlist, rewatch the commercials that made you weird, or if you prefer, lob a color bucket at your local ad agency and tell them to loosen up a bit.